Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the Entitled People subreddit by a now deleted user. Now, this story does span across several different posts, the first of which was created on September 11th, 2021. It's titled, "I found out today that my twin sister is just an evil Karen and I don't want her in my life anymore. I see why my boss hates my twin sister so much. So my brother, my older sister, my twin sister, and I were out for brunch and we started talking about money. My twin sister exclaimed how she was so happy to get that 100K when I was 25. I asked what she was talking about and she said, you know, you're getting 300K from that white man, right? I can't wait for my share. That white man was my boss's father. He was the sweetest badass little old Dutchman you ever met. He treated me like one of his grandchildren and when he died, he left me 300K in his will. I'm supposed to be getting it when I'm 25 years old and the only rule was, in my Opa's words, don't be selfish with it, ladybug. So I was planning on keeping 100K for myself, 100K for my mother, and splitting the last 100K between my 3 siblings. But my twin sister has been bothering me since she found out about the money, saying how I should give her the whole 100K because she is a mother with 2 kids. When my sister said that, my other 2 siblings chimed in, saying how it's not fair that my twin sister is getting the whole 100K and that they have to share it. I reminded them about the money situation and told my twin that, no, she was not getting the whole 100K. She is splitting it with the other 2 and I already told her this. She started whining about how unfair it is that mom is getting 100K by herself. I reminded my sister that our mom deserves that money more than any of us at that table and that she hasn't had a car, a vacation, or a firm mattress in years. She deserves that money because she took care of us, snot-nosed brats. Well, my twin sister started arguing with me, insisting that she should get the whole 100K while I split it 100K between our other 2 siblings or let all of them have 100K to themselves. I said, what about mom and me? My sister reminded me that I have 65K in the bank at the moment and that I should use that for myself and mom. Now, dear reader, I only have 65K in my bank account because I saved up money from my jobs for college, and my boss gave me 50K for college as a Christmas gift. I told my sister that I'm not touching that money. It is for my college and I work hard for my money. My sister laughed, saying that watching 4 kids and sucking dick isn't hard work. My family's dirt poor and I have to do what I need to do to survive. I will admit I have done some odd jobs here and there, but I have been through hell and back working for this damn family to the point where I lost my mind. I'm in therapy for what I've been through. You're probably wondering, Alize, why did you stay if you're going through so much shit? Find me a job that's offering $400 every week. My sister knows about what I've been through working for my boss's family. All my siblings know now, so my brother told my twin sister to shut the hell up and that I didn't have to give her anything. My older sister said, if you're that desperate for money, why not sell the other car? My boss gave my twin a car because he has a soft spot for my nephews. Their old car was too small. My twin sister remarked that the car was not worth much and that she got more money by selling my nephew's chair. My heart sank because I somehow knew what she was talking about, and in my head I was just screaming, please don't let it be the chair that my Opa made for my nephew. Please don't let it be the chair that my Opa made for my nephew. Please don't let it be the chair that my Opa made for my nephew. My older sister asked, what chair? You know, the white chair with the pterodactyl on it that Alize's grandpa made, my twin sister replied. I was furious. I asked how she could have sold my Opa's chair. It was a gift for my nephew and she didn't have the right to sell it. My sister exclaimed that she is my nephew's mother and that whatever he owns is hers. I asked how much she made selling my grandpa's chair. She said it was just $30 because the wood was good quality. I wanted to strangle her with her stupid ascot because my grandpa was an amazing wood carver. That was his passion when he retired and he spent his last 20 years perfecting his skill and craftsmanship. He would take old pieces of furniture, make them new again, and give them away to homeless shelters or people in need. If you were having a baby, he would make you a little merry-go-round for cribs out of good wood for free. My grandpa donated a lot of his money to people who needed it more than he did. He was an amazing parent, and there's a plaque in his hometown square dedicated to him. I understand now how I wasted my youth tending to her every need and want. I'm done being her doormat. She's not invited to my wedding. I want my nephews to have a relationship with my children, but I don't want her in my life, and I'm not giving her any money. I'm about to go cry myself into a vegetative state with snacks. I know it wasn't my right to be upset about the chair, but I have memories of watching my grandfather make it, so it hurts a lot. I'd like to point out that anything with my grandfather's signature or business on it, unfinished or not, is worth at least $1,000. Edit. I know I shouldn't have run my mouth about the money, but I thought I could trust them with that information because they're my family. I'm going to make a college fund for my nephews. She is not getting a penny of that money. My mom is mad at me because my sister's family is struggling and the money would come in handy in the future. But in the words my grandpa once said, sometimes bitches need to keep their mouths shut. To the people who said I'd be disrespecting my grandfather if I gave my sister that money, thank you for making me see that. She's not getting anything from me. Also, I might want to add this here. My sister is married and I feel sorry for her husband. The only reason she needs money is that she keeps throwing parties and events. Edit 2. Her husband called me apologizing for his wife's actions. I told him all the bullshit his wife pulled and that I didn't want my twin sister in my life anymore, but I wanted a relationship with my nephews. We're going to sit down and talk this out tomorrow. I'm going back to sleep. Edit 3, it's 4 in the morning and y'all's comments are lovely, very lovely, and they're very eye-opening. I've realized that my family is a lot more messed up than I believed. It's not just my boss's family, we're black and poor. My twin sister hurt me a lot more than I realized. She makes fun of me for being when she did it to me herself when we were. It's funny in a messed up way. My mom is not off the hook either. When she found out, I was forced to forgive my sister. I understand why, because she felt guilty and was crying, but also because it was years ago. I love my mom and she did get better over the years, but she's so much of a rug sweeper that it makes me angry. When I asked to get therapy, she said, "I'm your therapist," even though my mom was part of the problem. When I got a therapist, I wasn't allowed to talk about my self-harming. The boss got me a new therapist now. When I told my mom about my self-harming, she was worried, as a mom should be, but she also told me not to do it ever again because, and I quote, "it is white people's shit." Yes, me cutting myself and choking myself with a belt is apparently white people's shit. The only meeting we're having tomorrow is to get my grandfather's chair back. My sister isn't getting anything from me, and I'm just going to buy my mom the things she needs. I can't go back to sleep now, so my boss and I are about to play Minecraft. I'm going to talk to my therapist in the morning because I've opened up some old wounds and they refuse to close. I need to be properly healed because I can't stop crying. My family is so messed up. My life is a Tyler Perry movie and I hate it. I'd watch the shit out of it, but I hate it. Also, I should add that my mother never told me I have autism. I don't know why she decided not to tell me, but she never did. Keep in mind, this is just one story in the saga, and already I hate OP's twin. If I were in her position, I wouldn't give her anything from the inheritance. Or maybe give her like a couple of bucks just to mess with her. I wish OP never told anyone, let alone her sister, about the inheritance. Money is one of those things in life that people will completely change face for. Based on what OP has shared, it seems like she already knew that her twin was a bit of a jerk. But telling her about money and that she was going to be receiving a share just made her all the worse. She doesn't deserve anything. User in ANP1011 said, "If I were you, I wouldn't have told any of my family about the money. When family knows you are coming into money, they start acting entitled to it even though it isn't theirs. You should sit on the idea your sister had and think about not giving your twin any of the money. She might need it, but she clearly doesn't deserve it." Under this comment, user Kobold41 said, "Big mistake to tell everyone about the money, not even how much savings you have. You are talking too much. Invest the money wisely. You never know if one day you may fall on bad times. Your siblings have to get off their ass and learn to take care of themselves, especially that twin of yours." User Blueberry NZ said, "I understand about the chair. It's the dismissal of the time and love he put into it. She clearly doesn't care about him, so why should she benefit from his hard work and the legacy he created? It sounds like the last thing he would have done or wanted. Keep the money and perhaps create a trust fund for your nephews for your legacy." User Cappy122316 said, "If she has money to keep having parties and events, then she has money to take care of her family. I'm so sorry your sister, your twin at that, is being a selfish, ungrateful little thing, and yes, it would really be disrespecting your grandfather immensely immensely if you gave her a penny. Will your mom give her any money out of the portion you are giving her? I hope not, but in my opinion, I would also get to put in writing that she gets none. So it's good that it's in the text, at least to your mom, that your twin sister gets no money whatsoever. User Star Trek said, "Wow, I am so sorry for what you've been through and for what your sister is putting you through. Sometimes we have so much trouble with our siblings. Like others have said, if you give your mother money, your sister may try to get it from her. Maybe you could put 100K in an account for your mother, but you keep control of it. That way your mother can buy a car, go on vacation, or do whatever she needs or wants. You just pay for her things out of the account you made for her. Good luck with your marriage and your future. I hope you have a good life that doesn't include your evil Karen twin sister." Another user named 𝗥 𝗣𝗘𝗗 said, "I am so sorry that your twin sister is such a shitty person. I am glad that you were finally able to see it, although the circumstances are absolutely horrible. But I've seen similar situations in the past with toxic family members and people just putting up with it and helping them because they're family. Remember, blood doesn't mean shit, and your main family is the one with you, your partner, and your children. You are all adults now, and that is your main priority. You can't help someone build their house if it means taking bricks away from your own. I'm also sorry about the horrible experiences that you have gone through. Did you tell your boss about what his brother did to you? I understand either way if you did or did not. I hope your life gets better and your social group starts to be filled with people who are there to love, support, and empathize with you." The very next day, OP provided us with an update. So my boss, let's call him Mr. Smith as I haven't used that name for him in a while, my fiance, Oz, Mr. Smith's nephew, and I sat down with my twin sister, TS, and her husband, H. Oz and Mr. Smith were pissed because my sister disrespected their father/grandfather. Right off the bat, my sister started apologizing, saying she didn't mean to hurt my feelings and that she should have realized she was being selfish, but she didn't. She was boo-hooing and saying how we are sisters and shouldn't let some money get between us. And like the dumbass I am, I ate it up. I started crying hard. She got up to hug me and I was about to do the same, but Mr. Smith grabbed my arm and set me back down, saying, "Don't fall for it. Don't change." H snapped at Mr. Smith, telling him not to call his wife a Oz told me not to give a damn because TS was just trying to manipulate me like she always has and reminded me that she sold our Opa's chair. I was like, yeah, she sold my Opa's chair. I asked who TS sold the chair to and said I was willing to pay money to get it back. And like the greedy she is, my sister gave up the information with ease. She sold it to one of H's cousins, but H exclaimed how it was too late and that the chair was already turned into wooden rings, showing us a picture of it on his phone. My boss was screaming at him and H was confused. He said that my sister already had my boss's permission to sell the chair. We just looked at TS. TS started crying more, apologizing, saying how if she had asked, we would have said no. So much yelling. It was going back and forth with Mr. Smith and Oz calling my sister a bitch and saying how she's a liar while H was trying to settle them down. Then my sister realized I wasn't talking and got mad at me, saying how I could sit there and let them berate her and not defend her. I wasn't saying anything because I'm a scared little girl. I'm still afraid of my twin sister. I started shaking and crying and Oz and Mr. Smith started freaking out, trying to calm me down because 1, stress on the baby isn't good, and 2, the last time I freaked out was really bad, to the point I bit down on my hand. I have pica and broke the skin. I also have autism, so yeah, me freaking out wouldn't be good. My baby didn't like what I ate this morning and tried to force it back up, so I vomited all over my sister's pants. She ran to the kitchen sink while I ran to the kitchen garbage to vomit. I started crying more because I hate vomiting, and my sister was screaming at me because I vomited on her expensive pants and called me a fucking idiot. Oz yelled, "She's pregnant, you moron." Everyone stopped and looked at me, and I looked at Oz because we weren't supposed to tell anyone until we went to the doctor. Everything has been backed up to shit, so we can't get into a doctor until late October. Then my sister became sickly sweet, asking if it was true. I just nodded because I tried to say something, but vomit came out. So this is what Oz told me because I had my face buried in a garbage can. TS was smiling and coming up to me, saying how she was going to become an aunt when my boss stepped in front of her. He told her to leave and they started arguing. Oz helped me up by putting me into a room to try to get away from the noise because I was covering my ears and telling them to stop screaming. I was sitting on my bed and Oz was making me use my inhaler because I was having trouble breathing. I was just freaking out badly. Oz was trying to calm me down when my sister came in and made me choose between my boss or her. Oz said, "Do you really think she would choose you?" And my sister explained how I'm her sister and nothing breaks a twin's bond. I just looked at her and I don't know how to describe it. So I'm going to put it in Oz's words. It was like a red airplane flying overhead with a banner, "See this? This is a red flag." I looked at my sister and then my boss, and I thought about all the good Mr. Smith did for me. He's everything to me. When I had no one, Mr. Smith was there. When I was sad, depressed, suicidal, or just wanted to be around someone, he was there for me. He came to paid for every art show and guitar, violin, and piano recital. He bought my instruments. He bought my first computer, and he treated me like one of his kids. He encouraged me. He pushed me to be greater than I think I am. He didn't discourage me. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. He's my best friend. He supplied me with so much support. He protected me from my family and his. He opened up his home to me. He did not have to do it, but he did it anyway. I love him. Then I thought about all the things my sister did for me. There's love there, it truly is, but there is a lot of misery and regret. So I took a deep breath and said with all the pride my broken mental state could produce, "Get the hell out of my dad's house." She was flabbergasted and I had a smile on my face. The boss screamed, "You heard the get the f out." My sister was like, "You're going to regret this." "No, I won't." And she stormed off, not before she grabbed my tablet off the shelf and threw it at my head. It missed and smashed right into the wall, shattering the screen. As she stormed out of the house, she screamed, "You're going to be a terrible mother." And I screamed back, "I'm going to be a better mother than you are." After that, I just broke down. I became a crying mess. It's been a few hours since, and I talked to my mom about the money situation. I am willing to buy her the things she needs, but she's not getting my money for herself. If she wants it, she has to go through me. Oz and Mr. Smith are proud of me. I don't know how to feel. I'm sad and scared, and I'm questioning things. This is a setback in my therapy, and my paranoia is acting up at the moment. If I want a relationship with my nephews, I can just go to my mom's house. She watches them. So I'm not worried about that. I'm tired. But Grandpa, thank you. You greeted me with open arms and love. You are the kindest man I've ever met, and I will never forget you. It's still hard for me to walk into Grandma's house and not see you in your chair. I still play your voice recording of you singing to the little ones, and they miss you just as much as I do. I played it for their sister too. The boss has custody of her. We don't know where her dad is, and I think that's a good thing. She doesn't remember you, but I'm going to tell her about you. She'll turn 2 in a few months, and she is a ball of energy, just like her brothers. Your other grandchildren are still the same, but the middle one is talking more in public. He's doing a lot better than he was. My boss is doing his best to be a good dad and uncle. You raised a good man. He is an amazing person, and I see you in him all the time. He got back in contact with his youngest daughter. They go for coffee once a week and are making up. I finally convinced him to go to therapy. He stopped drinking, and at the moment, I'm trying to get him to stop smoking. He's better, but sadly, he caught cancer, but we caught it early, and he's going to chemo. I'm taking care of him like you asked me to. I'm mad we couldn't get your chair back, but I still have the memories and pictures of you making it. I wish you were here to hold your very first great-grandchild. If it's a boy, we are going to name him after you, and I'm going to tell them about you and your badass, don't give a fuck putting Karens in their place ways. To change the mood, the kids came back from the outing with Grandma, and when they left the house this morning, they had normal clothes on. So when they came back dressed as ducks, I asked what happened to their normal clothes, and one of the twins looked me in the eye and straight up said, "We don't know, we just got caught up with Quack." I can't even be mad at that. Do you all want more stories about my grandpa? Because I have one story that is my favorite, and it's when he called a Karen a low battery, please charge sounding ass bitch. He called her that because we just got him Bluetooth headphones and he didn't like the voice. I miss you, Opa. User Mass Drive said, "I'm glad you're okay. Somehow your sister is even more vile than I thought from your last post. Stay safe and be happy." A deleted user said, "Wow, what a read. I'm so glad you have decided on keeping your money out of reach of TS, but still supporting your nephews. Also, buying the items your mum needs rather than giving her money, which TS would likely find her grubby hands on somehow. The fact your mum got you to forgive your sister after what she's done in the past is a little FU. I know you didn't like throwing up, but that was my second best part. The first was telling her to get out of your house. I'm ecstatic that you have your true family, Oz, Bump, and Mr. Smith around you, and I pray this is the start of a great life." User Netflix and Chill said, "Okay, I need some more info because I'm very confused by this part of today's story and yesterday's. From the way you wrote it out, it sounds like me, Smith's brother, was the one who forced you to perform oral and rape you is that Oz's dad or another relative of theirs. That is a very weird dynamic for a family/business. Even without the assault, getting a huge inheritance from your boss's dad instead of fiance's grandfather when they're the same person is kind of strange. There seems to be a weird imbalance of power here. A little under a week later, we got another update. This post is titled, "Everybody knows now how evil my twin sister is because she decided to push me at her son's birthday party. Here we go again. My English is not the best, so I apologize." This is a short version of the entire situation. Also, this is going to touch on some heavy themes. A couple of days ago, it was my nephew's birthday. He turned 2, by the way. So I was helping my mom put up decorations when my twin sister came into the backyard with the birthday boy, his baby brother, and her husband. My mother immediately turned her attention to my baby nephew and used that grandma voice that all grandmothers use. You know what I'm talking about. My nephew ran up the stairs to my brother. I yelled happy birthday to him, and that's when my sister noticed me. "What are you doing here?" she said in her usual pissy tone. My mom immediately snapped at her, "Do not start. This day is about my grandson, not the two of you. So zip it, lock it, and put it in your damn pocket." My sister did not dare argue with our mother, so she kept her mouth shut. Fast forward a little bit. I started setting up chairs when my boss came back with the kids. My sister asked what he was doing there, and he said that he wasn't allowed to be around her kids. My boss and my mom reminded her that my boss was paying for the whole thing and that they planned this. He wasn't going to let a little boy suffer because the adults got into a fight. So the party was going well. Everyone was wearing masks and there were only 9 kids and 9 adults. Surprisingly, there wasn't much chaos. My sister left me alone. My boss's younger son didn't try to climb on things like he usually does. My older sister didn't try to be inappropriate with my boss like she usually does, and the twins didn't try to bite anyone. However, the peace soon ended. We sang happy birthday to my nephew, had cake and ice cream, and I noticed my baby nephew was awake. I went over to him and tried to take him out of his car seat. My twin sister asked what I was doing, and I said, "Look, I understand that you're upset with me, but I'm holding my nephew." All of a sudden, she pushed me. My twin sister pushed me hard enough that I fell to the ground, and she happily explained to her baby that TT doesn't get to hold you because she won't give us money. So I was just lying on the ground thinking, is she serious? I got up, took a deep breath, and thought to myself, "You're pregnant. Don't be stressed by her stupidity. This is your nephew's birthday. His mom is stupid. Just breathe." I looked around. No one saw it. I reminded myself to tell mom later. All right, we're good. I was walking when I heard, "Did you just push her?" I turned and saw one of my boss's sons. More importantly, I saw it was one of the twins, and my immediate thought was, oh shit. For those who don't know, my boss's twin sons are chaotic little bastards. They will beat you up and not feel guilty about it. They crave violence like sustenance. They are very protective of their family. They act like guard dogs to the point where their oldest brother called them Chihuahua and Pomeranian. So the Chihuahua threw his cake and ice cream at my sister, and I mainly grabbed him because he was about to go for her hair. The Chihuahua was screaming and thrashing about, saying how he was going to get my sister and let me go. I'm going to beat her ass. The Chihuahua is getting very strong and big now, and I can't hold him back by myself anymore, so I called my boss to get his kid. My boss grabbed his kid and tried to calm him down. Everyone was staring and my siblings were coming up, and my mom asked what happened. I told her I would explain later when someone pointed out that I was bleeding. My hand was bleeding and I hadn't realized it, and that was enough for the Chihuahua to spit more venom. "See, she's bleeding. It's her fault that Elise's bleeding. She's bleeding because she pushed her." He was screaming this while pointing at my sister. The Chihuahua was swinging his arms and trying to break free from his dad. My mom asked if it was true, but before I could say anything, my boss started screaming at my sister, "Are you crazy?" "Yes, she is." "Did you push a pregnant woman?" "She's pregnant. You know she is." I was trying to calm him down, and I got asked if I was pregnant. I said yes. Then my twin sister started calling me a liar and said that I was just looking for attention. I wasn't trying to yell, so I calmly explained that I was pregnant and that I wasn't going to listen to her bullshit and tried to walk away. But my twin sister, with her evil and sweet-sounding voice, said, "Oh, so chipper. Oh, 𝗥 𝗣𝗘𝗗. I finally learned how to spell it." I yelled at her not to call me that. Then she started to laugh. She won. She got under my skin. My twin was like, "What? You don't like when I call you that?" Then she proceeded to call me that over and over again and started laughing harder as I screamed at her to shut up. She hadn't called me that since 2020, and I don't know why she decided to do it now. Maybe because my boss was there, I don't know. People were yelling, I was crying, and then my boss asked me what that meant. I never told him that my sister knew about what his brother did to me because I was afraid of being a burden. And with my paranoia, I was trying to downplay or rationalize what happened. I started blaming myself for it, and then my sister started making fun of me for it, and that's when the abuse went to the back of my mind. I said in Dutch, "Remember when I told you about what your brother did to me on the family trip?" Well, 𝗥 𝗣𝗘𝗗 is a play on words. He thought about it, but my boss had no idea what I was trying to say. So I was like, "Bro, my twin sister is making fun of me for being raped by your brother." My boss was bewildered. That was definitely not something he was expecting me to say. So he just stared at my sister, then back at me, and then said, "Get her." My boss let the chihuahua loose, and he charged right at my sister. He was out for blood, but my brother-in-law, sister's husband, and my brother grabbed the chihuahua before he could reach her. My sister was scared, asking how my boss could let that beast go. My mom was yelling the same things. In her defense, she knows how hard the chihuahua hits. My boss looked at me and asked, "Does my mom know?" I shook my head no, and he sighed and said that we were leaving. I was grabbing the little kids, and my boss was trying to handle the chihuahua, but he wasn't done. "She hurt my mom. Let me go. I'm going to kick her ass." My sister said that I wasn't their mom and that when my new baby came, I would forget all about them. Well, that hit a nerve, but before I could do anything, Ethan, the middle child, started crying and ran out of the backyard. My boss went after him and I was about to go help him, but my sister accidentally, I don't think she meant to say that out loud, said, "Let the run." Everyone went silent and just stared at her. My sister immediately covered her mouth and started apologizing. To whom? I am not sure. Now, something about me, I don't give a shit what you do to me. I still have that, even though you're hurting me, I will be afraid to hurt you mentality. I don't like hurting people. I got beat into submission, and with my mental breakdown when I was 17, it kind of messed me up mentally as well. But if you hurt someone I love, you better pray to God your legs run fast enough. I saw red. I went up to my sister and slapped her right across the face. I pimp slapped her. I hit her so hard that I knocked her out of her chair. She made my baby cry, and I will never forgive her for that. Everyone was in awe because I was the last person to get violent. The chihuahua let out a loud "yeah." I told my sister not to talk badly about my kids and that Ethan was smarter than she was. I handed off the little kids to my oldest sister and told her and my brother to put the kids in the car while I went to get the chihuahua twin. I went into the house and woke up Pomeranian. He was taking a nap. I told him it was time to go and helped him to the car. I went back into the house to clean off my hands and I heard a lot of yelling from the backyard. My sister was crying. My siblings were buckling the youngest in their seats when my boss came back with a sobbing Ethan. He hugged me saying, "Please don't forget about them and I will be good." It broke my heart. Ethan's autistic and for a while now I have become his mom because he wanted a mom who was normal, aka someone who wouldn't discourage his dark-colored skin and who was patient with him. Then I became his and his brother's legal guardian. At first I was just Lee. Now he calls me Miss Mom. The youngest two call me Sissy while the twins, besides the occasional bitch, just started calling me Mom. I explained how I would never leave them. Even though I'm going to have a baby and babies need a lot more care, I will always love them. They're my little dudes. The car ride home was silent except for the chihuahua exclaiming how I knocked a bitch into next Tuesday. I explained to my fiance what happened. He was pissed for what my sister did and for me forgetting his cake. I love his high ass. I talked to my sister's childhood friends and they asked what the hell happened. I just said that this is what my twin sister is really like when no one's around. They saw her true colors. Eventually, I went back for more cake. Because my fiance wouldn't stop bothering me, and Mom and I talked. I explained how hurt I was, how messed up I became because of my twin sister, how my mom made things worse when she made me forgive her, and how I tried to ask for help, but she talked but didn't listen. I brought up my self-harming and how I wasn't allowed to tell my therapist at the time. My mom said that she was afraid I might get put in a mental hospital, and I said good, maybe I would have gotten some help. My mom apologized. My boss encouraged me to tell her what 𝗥 𝗣𝗘𝗗 means. My mom was horrified. I cried and asked, why does my sister hate me? My mom doesn't know herself. Also, she's excited for my little baby. My boss and my brother-in-law talked today. He apologized to me for his wife's actions. He didn't know she was like that. I think she's bipolar. One moment she's sweet, the next, you'd be lucky not to get strangled. My boss exclaimed how he was willing to start a college fund for my nephews. My sister overheard that and came in saying how she doesn't need his money from a man who despises and looks down on her family. The boss said, "I do not look down on your family. You're struggling and I completely understand that. My family came from nothing for years. We barely scraped by. Sometimes we didn't know when we were going to eat. I know how you feel. I've been in your shoes before, and let it be known that I do not despise or look down on your family. I just hate your guts." He was holding that in for years. "I'm okay. I'm tired, yes, but I'm okay. We're going on vacation soon before fall comes, just a little beach house that my boss owns. I really like it there, it's nice and quiet. I know I said I was going to write a story about my grandpa, but I'm just going to step away from social media for a while. I don't know why my twin sister is so evil. My boss said it's because she has my dad's blood in her. I don't know how to end this. However, I will say this. Does my twin sister count as an entitled mom? I just want to say that OP is so lucky to have people like the Chihuahua in her circle. I know that he is rather brash and emotional, but to have someone that is so ready to get in a fight to defend you is admirable. The sister is a total piece of shit. Saying nasty things is one thing. Acting physically and then making fun of the fact that OP was sexually assaulted is next level. I truly hope she gets her karma soon. User RoseWolf5562 said, "I absolutely cheered when you slapped her so hard that she was knocked out of her chair. You go, girl. Are you okay after she pushed you? Did you go to the doctor to be checked out? She could have hurt you or the baby doing that." To this, OP said the following, "I don't know how to feel about that slap. I mean, I feel okay. I don't feel pain besides the usual spinal pain. She gave me one of those playground bully shoves, but I'll ask my boss to make a doctor's appointment tomorrow." Also, how he found out that I was pregnant was sad. My twin sister threw my tablet at my head and told me I'd be a terrible mom because she got mad when I chose my boss instead of her. User Queen Schnoogleberry said, "I am so sorry all this happened. It sounds like it would be better for everyone to severely limit their interactions with Evil Twin. I really hope Bill leaves her ass and takes the kids. Full custody, because she is not going to be anything other than a life ruiner to them. Also, just an FYI, your sister's behavior is not bipolar. Bipolar cycles last weeks to months. If I had to hazard a guess, I might say a cluster B personality disorder, but honestly, I think giving her a diagnosis would just be to give her an excuse to milk for pity." A personal example, my own little brother went through something of a phase that involved arrests. Our sister told him she thought he had an antisocial personality disorder, and each time we brought up a stunt he pulled, he would say, "Oh, well, I have ASPD, I can't help it." Eventually, I had to pull up the Wikipedia page and confront him with some things and call bullshit. Basically, I asked him if he really felt guilt for cheating on his ex. He admitted he did. I told him outright that ASPD would never feel guilt for that, so that can't be what he has, so stop trying to use it as an excuse. He's doing better now. He'll always be a wild redneck boy, but he has a steady girlfriend, a good job, career ambitions, and even bought an economical vehicle for commuting to work instead of his lifted pickup truck. I still suggest looking up cluster BPDs and how to deal with them because I believe the techniques for dealing with them could just help you in general, diagnosis aside. User Beginning Sun 8355 said, "From one twin sister to another, you, my dear, are the one who created this cluster of a day your sister was trying to prevent. And note to self, stop with telling mom what your twin did because honestly, you instigated this. You knew where she stood and what she didn't want, and you chose to disrespect her, her family, and her home. I feel so sad for your sister having you as a twin. I'm sure you have shit on your whole life. It seems like you're just super jealous of her. Maybe learn to respect boundaries. And stop running to your mom to tell her what your sister did. I really hope you have the day you deserve for doing that to your twin sister. Grow up and learn some manners. Your sister does not deserve this from you. Best advice, mind your own damn business. Respect her boundaries. If you don't stop interfering with your sister's life, she will snap, and I'd hate to be you when it does." User Down Under Mom said, "Your twin is not worth you and your little family's time or effort. Now everyone knows what she is like. I would not be at all surprised if her husband leaves her and gets full custody of their children. How dare she make fun of a little autistic boy? I bet he is a whole lot smarter than she is. I really hope she gets the karmatic justice she deserves. When she does, I hope she realizes that she has only herself to blame. Thank you for looking after little Ethan. With you helping him, he will be able to achieve great things. All I can say is that you have love in your heart, whereas your twin has got all the hate in her heart. Take care of yourselves and make sure to look after yourself and your unborn child. User OK Faithlessness 2205 said, "So your sister is pure evil. I'm so sorry that you not only had to go through all this shit, but on top you get mocked by the one person that should more than anyone stand up for you. But I have to ask why you feel entitled to pick up her child when she make it clear to you that you are not welcome. It doesn't matter that it's your nephew. You have no right to pick him up when you know the mother doesn't want you to. She went too far and beyond, and there are no excuses for what she did, but knowing what a psycho she is, you could have avoided this whole thing by not touching her child. People need to stop touching other people's kids. I freaking hate it when someone feels entitled to pick up my children." Then after another 2 weeks or so, OP gave us the most recent and final update. My English is not great and I tried to catch a lot of grammar mistakes, but I definitely missed some. A couple of days ago, my brother-in-law called me and said, "Hey, your mother is in a lot of pain and she's tired. Can you watch my kids? I have to go to work." I wanted to see my nephews, so I said yes. Recap for those who don't want to click the link. My twin sister, TS, messed me up physically and mentally for years, and I just found that out because she wanted a lot more of my inheritance money than I was originally giving her, and she sold my grandfather's chair. However, everyone found out she was an ass because she decided to push me at her son's birthday party, so she's not talking to me, she's blocked me on everything, and she is blaming me for her actions. However, I've been checking up on her and her husband, and she's losing her shit, but she is not letting me see my nephews until I give her her portion of my inheritance. My nephew spent about 5 hours here. Then my phone rang. I picked it up and my twin sister immediately started yelling at me, "Why do you have my kids?" I told her to calm down and she started yelling at me more, "Why do you have my kids? You know you're not allowed to be around my kids anymore. Mom watches them. They're fine going to mom's." I reminded my sister that our mother is handicapped and cannot chase a toddler around and take care of a 3-month-old baby by herself anymore, which is why I always go over there to help. Well, apparently I'm not allowed to speak to or see my nephews because I won't give her my inheritance money, and she was on her way to pick them up. She hung up and I immediately called my brother-in-law. He said he would meet TS there and try to calm her down. My brother-in-law arrived first, and a few minutes later, TS arrived and started arguing in the driveway. I watched from the upstairs window because I wasn't in the mood to deal with her shit. My fiance took the kids outside and put them in my brother-in-law's car, then they left. About 5 minutes later, my twin sister called me and explained how I shouldn't talk to her, only to her husband, and that I chose my family when I kicked her out of my life. I was like, what about my nephews? Y'all, I heard the smugness through the phone. Well, if you want to see my kids, I would like that $100K you promised me. No, I want the whole $300K. I deserve it back for all the trouble you caused me. I sat there dumbfounded. I asked, "You want all my inheritance now?" And my sister said, "Well, if you want to see your nephews, yeah." She is holding my nephews hostage because I won't give her some of my inheritance. And now she wants all of my money. I just hung up the phone. That noise. My brother-in-law apologized to TS again, and I said, "This is not your fault. Stop apologizing." He said hopefully TS and I can be sisters again, but I told him that probably won't be anytime soon. I told my boss what happened when he came home, and he shook his head and said, "I'm too old for this shit." However, that is not over. So this morning, Oz, my fiance, fake name, woke me up and explained that we needed to talk. He asked me if I ever slept with Zeke, a friend of my boss, a fake name. I was confused. Oz showed me his phone, and my twin sister, like the scummy bitch she is, sent Oz old screenshots of conversations with me talking about my experience. See, my sister likes to get other people in trouble. She did this with all of our siblings. If TS is in trouble, she would use something you have done something or told her in confidence to get you in trouble just to get the heat off of her. So my twin sister told my fiance about all of the things I did with the caption, "She's not so innocent as she seems." I originally told Oz that Zeke was just one of the people that I did something strange, for a little change for. However, the screenshots that my sister sent him explained the truth that Zeke and I were in a 4-month relationship. So me and my twin sisters are dirty bastards. I went into great detail about the relationship and I understand why Oz was upset. It was supposed to be a one-time thing. Zeke got back with his ex-wife, I felt like he used me and we never spoke about it again. And I never told Oz about it because it's kind of hard to explain that I was 18 and slept with a damn near 50 yo man man. It wasn't healthy for either. He wanted a warmed mouth. I got attached and apologized, but I never really told anyone about it besides my sister and one of my boss's kids. I'm friends with his kids, and the last time I talked with him was when I was playing Phasmophobia with his daughter. We are friends now, but it took me a long time for me to be in the same room as 𝗥. Oz and I talked some more and things settled down, but this isn't over. Enter my dad. So I've been getting a lot of calls recently from numbers I don't recognize, and I don't answer them. But this morning I woke up to a phone call. I thought it was one of my friends, so I answered it. I was surprised when an angry Egyptian man started cussing at me. 𝗥 𝗣𝗘𝗗, what did you do? I was like, who is this? Then he yelled at me in Arabic and I realized it was my dad. He started screaming, saying how I was really hurting my sister, that I was taking food out of his grandchildren's mouths, and that my sister needed that money. I don't respond to anyone talking to me in Arabic. You can only talk to me in English. If you speak Arabic, I will not respond. I don't call myself Egyptian because I try to disconnect myself from my father, and the only time I talk to him is when I check in on him because he's currently dying. So I said, Dad, I'm not going to talk to you if you keep talking to me in Arabic. Speak English. He stopped and talked to me in English. It was quiet, then he started ranting about how I could disrespect my culture, blah blah blah, and I just hung up on him and did not take any more of his calls. I went back to sleep until my boss came in on the phone saying my dad was at our old house screaming at his nephews, who are the new owners. I rolled out of bed and drove to the old house, and when we arrived, my sickly dad and stepmom were yelling and banging on the front door, looking for me. I just rolled down the window and they both charged at the car. I asked my dad what the hell he was doing. They immediately started screaming at me out of breath. You are an ungrateful child, you're disrespectful. Your sister does everything for you. You've always been jealous of her business, her successful career, her husband, and you're jealous that you're single and that no one will love you because you're fat and ugly. This is typical of them because my twin sister was the favorite among the two of us. I didn't really recognize it until I got older. TS got bikes, more food, and prettier clothes, and my mom was always pissed when dad gave my twin sister things and then gave me nothing. My father's other children took their hatred for my twin sister and directed it at me. The only one I bonded with was my transgender sister. Eventually, I stopped going over there because I was getting sick and tired of being mistreated. Oz rolled up the window and asked what I wanted to do. Call the big guns or call the cops. I was sad, tired, and wanted to go back to sleep. I didn't want my sickly father and stupid stepmom to go to jail. I looked at my dad as my stepmom spit on and banged on the window, then said, call the cavalry. Who is the cavalry? Do y'all remember Philip? You know, that 6'8", 300-pound pure muscle, tattooed Muslim man with autism who can crush your head between his hands without even trying? So the man who lives in my boss's old house is Philip, and he came out pissed as hell. My dad and stepmom cowered immediately when they saw him. He stood by the car door and just looked terrifying as usual. My fiance and I got out to talk to my sperm donor. I took a deep breath and calmly asked what they were looking for. My dad, like the stubborn bastard he is, started screaming again, but with one loud shut up from Philip, he immediately stopped. I sighed and told my dad to go home because it was too early for them to be out. My stepmom looked me up and down and called me a whore because I was in my nightgown and not wearing pants. Oz took one look at my stepmom and commented on her mustache. She covered her mouth and I burst out laughing. My dad was about to yell again but stopped and remembered that I was using my guide dog privileges, Philip. My stepmom told Oz that he was rude and my dad asked who he was. I introduced Oz as my fiance. They were shocked. Now, when I say Oz is out of my league, I mean I am Jabba the Hutt and he is Princess Leia. Yeah, that level of out of my league. Maybe it's because he is constantly high or that he's dumb. Oz is willing to settle this low. So if your low-life, fat as hell, unattractive daughter tells you she is marrying this red-headed ex-football player man-child, eyebrows will be raised. My stepmom called me a liar and I just pointed to my engagement ring. Oz extended his hand to my father and said, "Nice to meet you, Dad." My dad just stood there. This man has called me every name under the sun to make sure I knew I was trash and that no man would ever love me. It finally hit him that I am lovable and that I can get a man built like a Greek god, and it pissed him off. See, my dad wanted me to marry a man from his home country to the point where he would try to set up an arranged marriage and try to sell me off to the most disgusting man you ever saw. He started screaming, "You can't marry this man, you can't marry this man, you can't marry this man. I am your father, you have to listen to me." Philip was about to step in, but Oz beat him to it. "Shut up, you two-faced jackass. You're just as and catty as TS." My dad said that Oz shouldn't have called his daughter a bitch, and Oz screamed, "What the f is Alize then? Because you've been calling her out of her name, insulting her this whole time. You are a poor excuse for a man, and God, I hate you. Now, you have two options. Stay, and this huge motherfucker gesturing to Philip can make you die quicker, or you could also stay and this dude, pointing to Philip again, can charge you with trespassing, and that person behind you, the cop who lives across the street and was also watching the whole thing, can arrest you. So are you going to piss off?" My stepmom was like, "So you're just going to sit there and let this man insult your father like this?" And Oz said, "He isn't her father. Any man can be a dad, but it takes a real man to be a father." With that, my father let out a loud "ree" and stormed off to the car, dragging his wife with him. After that, I just needed a hug. I didn't cry, so that's good. It was a weird experience, but I needed to do that. I needed to confront my dad. Even though I didn't do the talking, it still felt good to get it off my chest. I thanked the cavalry for helping me, and he told me to pay him back in pizza. Now I am getting phone calls and text messages from relatives I haven't talked to in a long time because my dad went to my Instagram, took one of my photos with Oz, and acted like a proud father on Facebook, saying that he's proud that his lovely daughter is engaged. Thank God he doesn't know I'm pregnant. User FrontWorld205 said, "Personally, I will cut your sister off. She is ruining her nephew's relationship with you. Do not give her any money. Say you give the money away to a charity if your sister asks, or just don't tell her you have it. To be honest, the only person who seems to support you is your transgender sister. You do not own money to any of these people." A deleted user said, "Just cut off your whole family and get a restraining order against your sister. This isn't worth it. If you want to keep in contact with your mom, that's okay, but hold on to the 100K you're giving and buy her things as she needs or give her money when she needs it. If you give it all to her, your family will just pressure her out of it when you're not around. It's protecting it for her. For the other 200K, buy yourself a house. That isn't selfish. You're able to do more good in a stable environment than you are in a toxic one, and that's a huge leg up in life." User CDN Poster said, "Wow, your sister. Cut her off immediately. Like, change all your numbers, move, etc. And get the heck away from that toxic bitch. When they're 18, then your nephews can hopefully have a relationship with their aunt, assuming your sister hasn't screwed them up too badly." OP said the following under this comment: "Can't move because the last time we did the middle child kind of loss of shit. She doesn't want to talk to me, she hasn't been harassing me, and I don't have contact with the other bastards. Actually, she isn't a bad mom. She is just a to the rest of us." I feel sorry for her husband though. He has to take the brunt of her wrath. My boss is trying to talk to him and trying to keep him motivated because my boss doesn't want my brother-in-law to go through the same shit he went through with his wife. User 𝗥 𝗣𝗘𝗗 said, "Just wanted to say that you're not alone. My mom and her sister are identical twins, and you always hear that twins are supposed to be best friends. They're not always. My mom always hated her twin. She didn't directly say it, but you could feel it. She has also claimed her sister once tried to drown her. I never really believed her or that it was on purpose, until I lived with her for 3 months because I visited the country she lives in. When my mom was 20, she moved to another country and continent for a few years to get away from her sister, and when she got back, her sister moved to the USA, also another country. We're from Europe. My aunt is not a good person. She bullied me, I was 19, kept me isolated, made sure I didn't make any friends, kept me from talking freely to my family, and monitored every conversation I had, manipulated me to the point that I didn't even know what was happening until others pointed it out to me, used me, kicked me out when I couldn't save her marriage, and I was in another country, in the middle of the countryside, no transport to anywhere, no place to go, no money. Then she lied to my mom and said she knew where I was and had everything under control when she had no idea where I was and I had found someone else to be with. Otherwise, I would have killed myself that day. My mom knew because I called her when she went crazy. The fact that she lied and said she knew where I was and had me under control when both I and my mom knew there was a high chance that I could have been lying dead in a ditch at that moment without her knowing it, made me realize that my mother probably didn't lie when she said her sister tried to kill her. I apologize for my comment being this long. I didn't want to take focus from yours. I just got carried away in memories, but I wanted to point out that even identical twins aren't always best friends. I have no idea if you're identical or not, or if anyone has given you any shit about the twin thing. Still, you're 100% in your right to cut people off no matter how close you're connected biologically, and just because you're twins doesn't mean you have to be best friends. User Snow Mountain Bear said, I would give your sister nothing. If you give her 100k, she'll withhold her children until she gets more. Give her 300k and she'll do the same. While she has the nephews, she'll always have the upper hand. It's your money and do with it what you will, but I'd suggest you'd get more pleasure burning it than gifting it to an ingrate. You cannot win with her. Full stop. This was definitely a wild story, from what started as a simple debacle over an inheritance to OP breaking up from her family. In a way, I'm sort of looking at this entire situation as a blessing in disguise. OP's relationship with not only her sister, but other family members as well, such as her dad, seemed to be very toxic. Now, I am obviously not a huge fan of the way OP and Oz's relationship started with all of the stuff, but it does seem that Oz's family is much more protective and respectful of OP than her original family. Perhaps it was better to cut ties to her original family now rather than later.